So what we're going to do now is the tell the story technique, which is a very good way of working on any emotional issue. And with the tell the story technique, what we do is we figure out, okay, let's say I have a fear of flying. And I think, okay, well, let me figure out a time when I had a fear of flying. Doesn't matter which time, whichever time comes to you is the right time to go with. So it may have been the flight that I went to Paris and there was turbulence on the flight. So I might do the tapping on that. And one way to actually work on an emotional issue is to imagine yourself looking at a TV screen like here, and you're seeing the video of the story in front of you, or you're seeing the film or the movie. It's called narrate the movie or tell the story. And then every time you get to a bit that triggers you, you stop and you tap on that bit. And you carry on all the way through. And you keep repeating until you get down to 0 on everything. So I'm going to give you an example. I got a story on my computer here in front of me. And I'm going to read from it. And if anything triggers me, I'm just going to tap on it. Just to give you an example of what it's like. And then you can stop and tap on something that is meaningful to you and release it that way, bit by bit in bite-sized chunks, which is a lot easier than going for the whole thing if it's a bit too much. Okay, let me have a drink and then we'll carry on. So I'm just going to read. I've never read this story before. And I've chosen it to see if there's anything in there that triggers me, then I can tap on it. It's not a horrible story, but it has enough in it, I think, to trigger me a little bit, so I can tap on it so you can actually see what it's like. So I'm reading this story off the internet. I can't believe you kept it. It's an ugly thing. A year 8 woodwork project, unevenly circular, almost egg-shaped, where I overplaned. Didn't know about planing till now. Okay, I can imagine what planing is. Where I overplaned to make tiny unnecessary adjustments. Erroneous hour increment markings where my chisel deviated around the grain. For some reason, I painted a black cat on it. An eerie, white-eyed, withered creature that watches me. Ooh. Do you know what? I get like maybe 3 on there, so I'm just going to tap. Even though I have this feeling about the eerie, wide-eyed, withered creature that watches me. Actually, no. Even though I have this feeling about the painting of the black cat. That's more correct. That feels correct. I just want to feel better. Even though I have this feeling about the painting of the white cat. Black cat. I'm too relaxed. I just want to feel better. Even though I have this feeling about the painting of the black cat. I just want to feel better. This painting of the black cat. And I'm yawning. This painting of the black cat. 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 Oh. Okay, I feel a lot better about that. It's a 0. So let me put my glasses on so I can read the rest of it properly. Okay. Only when I brought it home did I realize the mechanism was going backwards. Dad tried to fix it. I took it to my teacher, who tinkered with it at break time. Neither of them could resolve the problem, and I thought we threw it away. I found it in the loft. I like it. Mum puts 2 mugs on the coffee table. Where's your... No, actually, I found it in the loft. I like it. It gives me 2 out of 10. So let's stop. Even though her mum found it in the loft, I just want to feel better. Even though her mum found it in the loft, I just want to feel better. Even though her mum found it in the loft, I just want to feel better. Her mum found it in the loft. 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 Release. It's still a 1. It's gone down from a 2 to a 1, so I want to tap on it again. You may wonder why I'm reacting to this story. I can explain to you, but it's not part of this course. So the most important thing is I don't want to reveal a personal story of my personal life, although I've worked on a lot of it, so there's not much of it left. But if something has recently happened to me, I could have tapped on it with you, but I don't think that's very professional. So I just found a story on the internet, knowing that I might react to some of it. And it doesn't matter why somebody is reacting to a part of a story. All that matters is to let go of that reaction, let go of the trigger. So, her mother found it in the loft. Even though her mum found it in the loft, I just want to feel better. Even though her mum found it in the loft, I just want to feel better. Even though her mum found it in the loft, I just want to feel better. And the yawning is such a great release. Even though her mum found it in the loft, I just want to feel better. Her mum found it in the loft. You might laugh, you might cry, you might sigh, you might yawn, you might burp. Just let it happen. Her mum found it in the loft. 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 I yawned so much, there were tears in my eyes. I'm not sad, don't worry, it's not such a sad story. Her mum found it in the loft. Her mum found it in the loft. Oh, 0. Okay, so let's move on with this story. So, where's your stick? Oh, around somewhere. She wafts her hand dismissively. I sometimes forget to use it, she says with a self-conscious giggle. That's a new one on me. Usually she's reliant on it, her spine folding in on her as she shuffles along, catching her foot on the carpet. Today she's straighter and sprightlier. She sits without the customary groans. Later, as I kiss her goodbye, I'll glance at the clock. Yep, still ugly. So even though I've tapped on the ugliness of the clock and the mother finding it, now that I read this, I'm not reacting to it because I've let it go. We meet up every 2 or 3 weeks, usually at Mum's house. She struggles to get out much. She feels more secure at home. Oh, that's 4 out of 10. Okay. Even though she struggles to get out much, I just want to feel better. Even though she struggles to get out much, I just want to feel better. Even though she struggles to get out much, I just want to feel better. She struggles to get out much. 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 That feels like a 1, but I'm going to pretend it's a 0 just for the purpose of the exercise to move on with the story. And the dark, puffy rings underneath her eyes are smoother and they've lost their opacity. Have you lost weight? A couple of pounds, hands on hips, she wiggles to show off her rediscovered waist. Oh, look at the time. I glance at my ugly cat clock. It seems funny now. How can you even tell the time on that thing? I watch the hands turning for a moment, captivated by the absurdity of it. I'm aware of Mum fussing with her bag and dashing into the hall for her jacket. Are you wearing makeup? Yes, I've got a date, she says reticently. A date? After Dad died several years ago, Mum's shown no interest in meeting new people. I trail after her from room to room. Who with? Someone from Bingo, you don't know him. And then it goes on and on and on and on. It's quite a long story actually that I've chosen. And then the rest of it isn't quite nice. So I'm not going to go there. But I think you get the idea. If this was my story, something that happened to me, then I can think of it bit by bit as if I'm watching it on a TV screen here. Okay? So TV screen in front of you and you're watching this story. Or imagine you're reading this story in a book. As soon as you get to a part of the story that triggers you, stop and tap for that part. If you can't find the words to say, you can just say, even though I'm upset about this part. Very simple. And then tap this part, this part, this part, and then come back to it. And keep going until you reach a 0 on everything. I keep saying reach a 0 on everything. Reaching 0 is really important. Because let's say the story was about a time when I was in an airplane and I felt a fear of flying. Now let's say I bring this story down to, I don't know, maybe a 5 out of 10. The next time I go on an airplane, maybe I start with a level of 5 out of 10, which is fine, but maybe something happens. Maybe there's turbulence, maybe we have to stop somewhere. And then that would add another maybe 5 to it. So I'm now at a 10 out of 10. Whereas if I'd gotten the story down to a 0, then when I got on the plane, then whatever came that I haven't tapped on already, it's not such a big deal. And if there is some issue that you have, again, let's take fear of flying. So I can tap on, let's say, 5 incidents when I had fear of flying. Or if there aren't 5, however many, and get each one of them down to a 0. Once each one of them is down to 0, chances are that I don't have fear of flying anymore. But then let's say if I go on an airplane and something comes up, maybe something I haven't thought about before. Maybe all of a sudden somebody closes a door. I'm thinking, oh, I'm feeling claustrophobic. So I can tap on it on the airplane. You might have seen some people tap on airplanes, or have somebody like me tap with them. But what I'm trying to say is that you can tap after you got off the airplane as well. If there's anything that you haven't covered already of the issue, and you're in the situation, let's say going on the airplane, then that's fine, you can tap on that. Once you've tapped everything down to a 0, you're free from it. As so many people have tapped on so many things: childhood trauma, fear of flying, fear of spiders, smoking, all sorts of things. Once people have tapped on it and got it all down to a 0, and every part of it down to a 0, every aspect of it down to a 0, it was gone. So that's why it's really good with tell the story technique. Sometimes you get to a part which you can't bring down lower than a 4 or a 5 maybe, because the part after it is quite horrible. So bring that part down as low as you can, and then carry on, and then tap again, and then go through the story again and again and again, stopping at whatever part triggers you until it's all gone. Enjoy the freedom. And thank you so much for putting up with me reading this strange story off the internet. Till next time, see you later.